Conoce de cerca a los líderes de la comunicación y el medio empresarial, cuyo talento los ha llevado a ocupar los cargos ejecutivos a través de los cuales han transformado la forma de hacer negocios y dar valor agregado a sus marcas. Escucha el programa Estamos en Comunicación con Carlos Muñoz todos los viernes de 10 a 11 de la mañana por Radio Anáhuac 1670M. Eleva tus sentidos.
Yeah.
There. You think I was born yesterday or something?
Wow. Hello, Dick. Thank you for joining us.
So I'm above you. Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Dick. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm doing good. I've been kind of cooped up at home a lot lately, but so is everybody else, I guess, with this pandemic.
Yeah.
But got my vaccines and just, I really don't go anywhere. I cut out travel there for a while, but Matt and I are going to hit the road pretty soon and do our Butkus tour. We're going to, there's no nominees there in Mexico City. So we're going to go and we're going to, we've got a watch list of like 30 some players, each for high school, college, and professional. We don't have a watch list. So we're going to go, I've got to be in Chicago for the Bears for a game in September. So what we're going to do is we're going to go drive cross country.
Oh.
And we're going to just check off these names that we have that are close to our route to Chicago. And we're just going to like surprise them, maybe at their practice and video them.
Oh, great.
And just say, what's their reaction? You're on a watch list or whatever. And we're going to try to get a number of high school kids and interviews and a number of college. We, of course, don't know who's going to win. There are some repeaters that were some finalists and were on the watch list last year that are coming back. But we're going to just try to do as much as we can on this one big road trip from Los Angeles to Chicago. And then we're going to swing down through Texas because it just seems like there's a lot of great high school players in Texas. And so we're going to hit there and then we'll come up the southern route through Arizona and back to LA. Because in February, we're going to have our banquet and our awards show. It's going to be in Palm Springs, California at the Agua Caliente Resort Casino. So that'll be part of the program. I think we'll edit together all these visits and see the reactions of the kids. And it's like I was going to just say at the banquet, at home here, I have a picture, got all kinds of, football stuff. But in high school, when I won the Chicago Player of the Year award, when I was in high school, they came to my house and my mother and father were there with the head coach. And then I could see my brothers peeking from around the wall and I took a picture of that. And that, of course, was in the Times, the Sun, Chicago Sun-Times. But I've got a copy of that picture. And it reminded me that, these awards, you go all over to these different places for these awards and you don't know anybody. And I thought, what the heck with that? I'm going to go to that kid's school. We're going to surprise him. And he can enjoy receiving the award and, we'll let his parents know that they conveniently are close by and they're teammates. I mean,
Sure.
I mean, that's what it's all about. I'm a rubber chicken. And we got some nice comments from parents. One, Luke Kuechly's father said, it was so neat that you guys came to Boston College because, he was right during final week. And so we eliminated him, taking 3 days off to go to a banquet to receive an award. When we went, we were hiding behind the door during their team banquet, and the coach knew. And so he said, well, we had a great year. We have a couple players up for All-American. We got, we got Luke Kuechly up for the Butkus Award. And Matt and I walk in and we said, what do you mean? He's nominated. He won it, and there's his table was right there. So,
yeah.
So I think that's kind of neat. And, I'm getting up in age where it's tough for me to travel. So I think this might be the last one, unless the winners are close by. And just my son will take over for me. Matt will do it. But so that's what we got planned. And I'm been working on Google and plotting out where are the schools to try to pinpoint and all that stuff. So it's going to be a journey. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So it should be good. It should be fun. And we'll have some, hopefully some good video to edit in our award show in February.
Nick, I'm pretty sure that I'm your fan number one in Mexico City. And I would love if you can share with us your best experiences in college football and obviously as a linebacker in Chicago Bears.
Well, I went to the University of Illinois, and they had a very poor record. And what I noticed today, a lot of kids, they like to go to the program that's really winning, like Alabama. They get all the great high school kids to come there. And so I just really believed in the coach, Bill Taylor, who was recruiting me, and Pete Elliott. And he just said, look, Bill Taylor said, look, we're going to recruit, Chicago and get a lot of the good players from Chicago. We're going to turn this program around. And I felt, well, I just believed in the guy, and Bill ends up being my daughter's godfather, and we stayed close up until this day. And he did what they said they were going to do. They got some good players out of Chicago, and our sophomore year, we broke the losing streak. And our junior year, we went to the Rose Bowl. And back then, you couldn't repeat. So all in all, I was pretty happy with my selection of going to the University of Illinois. It's a great school, and met some wonderful people, and still friends today. So then I was fortunate enough to get drafted by the Bears, and
1965.
Yeah, 1965, and they had the other league then, the American League, so they had their draft also. So what they were doing was they were getting a lot of the top college players to, and they'd have a businessman called in on this kid. Like my guy was Vern Buell. He ended up being a very good friend of mine, but at the start, he was a very good friend of George Allen, who was the defensive coach of the Bears at the time.
Papa Bear.
And so all of a sudden he's in New York at the night before the draft, and he's talking to me like we're old buddies, and you need anything, you want to go anywhere, blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking around, and each guy, Craig Morton and all these different guys had these guys, like it was like recruiting. So I called my attorney, or my attorney called me, and we were at the Latin quarters or somewhere, Copacabana or somewhere. The whole team was out for a dinner in the night. And so he tracked me down, and he said, hey, the Bears came back with an offer and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, how do they know? The draft is tomorrow. I mean, they got a number one pick, but they don't have a number one pick of the whole draft.
Yeah.
Well, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, he says, okay. He says, okay. I'm going to tell him, okay, it's a deal now. And to make a long story short, they did draft me the next day. I go back to Champaign. I go up to Chicago to sign the contract, and it was half of what the guy told me. Half. And I'm like, hey, this there's a mistake here. Oh no, you were at that nightclub, and no. So Papa Hallis got to him and told him to tell him whatever, but we got to have him or whatever. And so you know what, I was that close of being a Jet because Sonny Werba was going to make a big move. But the thing was hanging up was Joe Namath. He was hanging up the whole thing, taking too long to decide or whatever. So by then I said, we'll go to the real league, the NFL. And
Dick, what kind of a relationship do you have with Papa Bear, George Halas?
Well, after that, it was a good one.
Incredible man, no?
Yeah, he was. Well, for me, here I'm. That's all I ever wanted to do as a kid, high school. I wanted to be a pro football player. And so here I end up with the Bears, the guy who started practically pro football and George Halas, and here I'm playing for the guy. I mean, what better situation could that be? In the city, my family could see me, everything was fine. But he was tough. I mean,
I suppose.
I think he took Gale under his wing, and so I remember I went in there. It was after a bad season we had, and I don't know which one because we had a few bad ones. But so I go into the office to pick up some mail, and he calls me in his office, and I said, "Hey, what are we going to do about a new coach?" This is when he stopped coaching. He was going to look for a new coach. I said, "What are we going to do for a coach?" And he says, "Well, when we get one, we'll let you know." Well, I mean, I just wondered, Coach. I said, "You know what? I don't think you really want to win here." And he got up and I thought he was going to take a poke at me. What do you mean you don't want to win here? And I said, "Wait a minute. You started this league 50-some years ago. And who's in the Super Bowl? 2 expansion teams." I says, "We should be there. It should be no contest. You started all this. And here we are." And then he sat back down and he said, "Well, when I find out, I'll let you know who we're going to have." So I think Dooley is the guy he picked, and it went downhill from there. So he's a great guy, and it was, like I said, it was quite an honor to play for someone that that I was so into football, and here's the guy that started it all. It was kind of neat. Yeah,
an iconic figure in the NFL.
Yeah.
Dick, you were number 50 at Illinois University, and as a linebacker in Chicago Bears, you were all the time, your 8 years as a professional, number 51. Why?
Well, this is how the game has gotten to be. When I came from the Bears, you were right. I wore 50 at Illinois, but Mike Pyle, the center and captain, was wearing number 50.
Yeah.
And at that time, you couldn't come and say, "Hey, here's $10,000." I mean, that was probably as much as you could make only. Let me have your number. It was, they gave you the number. Hey, the equipment guy, hey, there's a container over there with shoes, and helmet, shoulder bag. Go pick yourself out something. It was all used and old. I mean, I actually wore my college helmet for the first 3 or 4 years. I just had to have it repainted because at Illinois, they would measure you perfectly every spring. You'd get a new helmet. So, I mean, it was these kids today. I mean, come on. I mean, that's why a lot of people wonder, well, why didn't you wear 50? Well, first of all, somebody else had it, and you couldn't. You didn't do that back then. That was kind of like being like having a big head. Like, I want 51, so here's some couple bucks. But that's the reason I had 51. So, and that's retired. So they're both retired. So it worked out either way.
Dick, every time I saw the highlights of your incredible career, I'm always get impressed because you were unique. You have a unique technique to tackling the opponents. I see, and I know you love to see the guys hurt in the field. You learn this technique to tackle the opponent's Dick, or you think you were born with this talent of tackling? What can you tell us about it?
Well, in high school, I was a running back, a fullback, and a linebacker. And I remember back, whenever I was tackled high, like a bear hug or someone put their, okay, I got the ball in one hand and I got my arms, they got my arms like a bear hug. I got nothing to break my fall. So if he's going to put me down, like slam me down, I got nothing. And sometimes when you're on your way and you're going to hit the ground, sometimes you let go of the ball, you forget, and you want to break your fall. So I remembered that in high school. And so I started like tackling the other kids kind of high, kind of putting my forehead right maybe below their throat, because I would have either when I hit them straight ahead, okay, if you went to this way on me, I would still have this side and my arm to make an arm tackle. But if I was right, the timing was right, I'm going to hit you head on, bear hug you, and put you on your back.
Head to head, helmet to helmet.
Yeah, and that's why, there had to be a reason I led the league in fumble recoveries, because I was either knocking it out and getting the ball. So that's why I tackled that way. You can't do it every time, but if the time is there, these backs today, when I watch them close by on, say like on the sideline at a Bear game, when I go there, the people are awful quick. So you really don't get a really good shot at a guy where you can really nail him. You know what I mean? You got to make sure the tackle first and then hope for putting him on his back. So it was different then. There's a lot more, I think, running between the tackles where you could really hit him this way. You avoid the blocker, and then he's coming through the hole, and you just boom, right then and there.
You enjoy hurting people, Dick?
Well,
I think yeah.
Well, yeah, but if their best player,
it's better hurting people than be hurt.
Yeah, well, if it's their best running back and he's hurt, that everything is geared to win the game. It's not geared for me to be so outstanding and everything else. I hit high, I try to hit hard, because somewhere along the line, they're going to drop the ball. It's human nature. I was able to tell and look at an offensive set when they come to the line, and you see a back looking over there. Well, come on, that's where it's going. So even, I thought, okay, in high school, I would go with it. Okay. So now I'm in college. No, it's going to be, they're better players than this and that. Well, sure enough, in college, they're like looking where they're going to go. So then I get to the pros and I'm like, well, now they won't. Now they still do it. A lot of backs, they're looking where they're going to go. It's just human nature, I guess. So you got to pick up those little things, and and okay, the guy's looking there. Okay, you keep that in your mind. You don't just go running over that side. You got to wait, make sure he's not double looking you off. So yeah, it all adds up to what I think is, I'm trying to win the game. So, whatever I can do, whether it's cause a fumble or cause an interception or tackle somebody for a loss, it's all good. And if they get hurt along the way, I'm sorry, too bad.
Dick, what can you tell us about great players like Brian Piccolo, like Gail Sayers?
Well, Gail and Piccolo and myself, we were rookies all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So Gail and I also played in the Chicago All-Star game. So we didn't go to training camp right away, but Piccolo did. And so since he went to Wake Forest, and Bill George, who was the middle linebacker there at the time, went to Wake Forest, they kind of took him under their wing, And so for the 10 days that we weren't there, Brian's like, whoop-de-doo, he's with the veterans. So Gail and I come in and, here are the two big stars. And believe me, it wasn't like today. They didn't welcome you or whatever. You had to prove yourself that you're worth being a number one draft choice. And so I remember they gave me and Gail some hard times, but it didn't take long for them to figure out Gail. I mean, he was just unbelievable. And I started, a couple
impressive running back
games. And so, and when you hit them in practice, then they're like, whoa, okay. This guy might not be, might be as good as they say he is, whatever. So, and that way you win their respect. And I think we all did that. And Brian, he never started until later in his career. But he was a good guy, and him and Gail, I never knew they even roomed together. I mean, when I watched that movie, Brian's Song, I never knew that they roomed together. I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal back then,
mm-hmm.
So they put you by your positions, and as it falls, there's your room. All right, go. So I remember I had, Joe Fortunato was my first roommate, and then I had Doug Buffone, and then I had Ed Obradovich. So I used to fool with them guys all the time. It's a good time. So yeah, it was good playing the Bears. It was just unfortunate we just didn't have enough good players to actually win. I mean, I think our rookie year we got close to the playoffs, but after that it wasn't too good. And the 1 year we won one game out of 14, and I still made Defensive Player of the Year that year. So I thought that was kind of neat to do that on a subpar team and with a terrible record, to be chosen Defensive Player of the Year. It's probably because I was on the field the whole time. Our offense didn't do anything. So, yeah.
Dick, considering that you love hurting people, what can you tell us about the new rules at the NFL? I'm questioning you because of I don't understand these new rules, because I love to see the old school in football, and now I'm watching divas and some kind of clowns when you see the football right now. What do you think about it, Dick?
I look at it like two ways. I understand what they're trying to do. They're supposedly trying to eliminate some of the injuries.
Yeah.
Let's take the quarterback. Okay. Quarterback is your main guy. I mean, if Brady got hurt last year, I doubt they would have went to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Mahomes, he gets hurt and it's not the same during the Super Bowl. And plus, those guys are making enormous amounts of money now compared to when we were playing. And it's gotten to be where we're all buddies. We're all in this together. Whereas I think when I was playing, I played my whole career with one team, and usually all the guys on the team did stay with one team.
Yeah.
Now it's like who's going to pay me more.
Absolutely.
So the diehard old school people are saying, what is with this guy? Does he, does he really love the game that much, or does he love the money? He's going and really, I don't understand that. But in a way I do, because it's a business. Like if I hear that one more time from an athlete saying, well, it's a business, I gotta do the right thing. I gotta, leave this city and go to this city because it's a business deal. Well, I don't know. I think your intentions are wrong. I thought you were supposed to try to win, a championship. They want everything. They want the money, and they want to go where they want to go, and who has the best chances of winning. What the heck do you have the draft for? Or let's just have some like Dallas, who can buy anybody, buy a team, buy the players, and okay, big deal. I don't get it, but that's the modern day. It's not going to change. Like the practice. I mean, you can't wear a full uniform and hit at practice. We used to hit every day.
Yeah.
I mean, during the season, now, I mean, with their union, there's only so much time that you can have them for practice or meetings or whatever. I mean, you talk about a nice job if you can find one, or be an athlete, be a good athlete. You don't have to be good. You just be an average one, so you can make a team, and you can your future is taken care of. Because I think the longevity. I don't know. How do you explain these injuries that they're getting when they don't practice as much? Yet when we were playing, we're practicing and hitting all the time. And I sort of think that there is something to getting used to getting hit, so that you don't come out to game one not having hit anybody. I've run a play, 1,000 times. I know where to go. But when you're between the lines, that's changed, man. The game is so quick and everything else. Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with the injuries, because, and I don't understand why. Because you have all year. We all had jobs. What we made playing football for the Bears was not enough. We had to have some other source of income. I mean, I would be in heaven if I was able to play today. You're paying me to work out for something I love to do? Are you kidding me? I mean, we had to, we were working. I sold cars. I worked for a dairy, and then plus work out. They really, really don't understand, I think, the majority of them. And what I'll end it with this kind of surprising. I was talking to Gail one day about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And he was telling me he was talking to a current running back. Well, I think it was with the Bears. And he mentioned Jim Brown's name. And the running back said, "Who's that?" Can you imagine someone asking who's playing professional football and he doesn't know who Jim Brown was? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So what can I say? I mean, it's different. It really is. And I could tell it's really different by even these high school kids, the way they're getting treated. There's a school in Florida near Tampa called IMG. It's virtually a sports high school. I mean, if you have, I went there. We gave an award to one of their kids, and he went on to Alabama. I mean, they get kids from all over who are pretty good athletes, and it's a hotbed for recruiting. So it's gone all the way down to the high school. I mean, but then that's the same thing like me, but I didn't have the exposure like the kids of today. So I don't know if that's all good or bad, but football is a big deal, and a lot of people are trying to play it.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you really love the game, it's a hell of a way to make a living, but it's a short living.
Yeah.
The average player, 4.5, 5 years. Then you got to think of what's second best that you love to do, because it's over. It could be over in a flash. So,
Dick, what can you tell us about great players like O.J. Simpson, Deacon Jones, like Jack Lambert?
Well, they were old school players like Deacon Jones. He had that head slap, and
great hitter also. Great hitter.
Yeah. And then you had, they had a great defensive line with Merlin Olsen and Lundy. And then, Ray Nitschke. I met Ray Nitschke at Illinois. In fact, he went to Illinois, but he was there about the time my brother was. And I was
number 66.
Yeah, so I was introduced to him. And
the Green Bay Packer.
Yeah, got to be good friends with him.
Yeah.
He named his dog Butkus. Johnny Unitas, quarterback, tough as nails. I mean, very good. I was fortunate. I played with like guys like Mike Ditka and Gale, big Doug Atkins. And
you were part of the Midway Monsters.
Yeah, they still have that.
What about the Midway Monsters of the 85 era?
Yeah.
Midway Monsters, yeah.
Yeah, they haven't been too big of monsters lately, but we'll see what's going to happen. Are you a Bear fan, or are you just general football fan?
Football fan, and I'm your fan number one.
What team?
My team, Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, yeah.
As a Patriot or as a Buck.
Oh yeah.
But I'm fan number one of Tom Brady.
Okay. So who's your favorite defensive player?
You?
That's playing today.
Today, I think I love to see at the 90s Steve Atwater as a strong safety, Mike Singletary, obviously, John Lynch as a Patriot or as a Buck, Jack Lambert, of course. But right now, I don't have any predilection of one kind of player, Dick.
Yeah, well, I'd have a tough time picking out one myself. Because it's changed a little bit, with the defensive ends and they're throwing the ball a lot more. These linebackers are getting to be where their speed has to be good enough to maybe cover for on pass defense and everything else. So game is changing a little bit. A lot more throwing and more sophistication with their defenses. You were just thrown in, you'd play every down, but now you've got situation players, goal line, long yardage, short yardage. So the game has moved on, and I always thought I was going to get into coaching, but never happened. And who knows? Maybe I wouldn't have been worth a darn, because I would expect everybody to play like me and have the have the initiative and just put it in the work that like I did. But so everything worked out. So otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here talking.
Dick, who were in your opinion, the very best coach in the NFL? Vince Lombardi, maybe? Halas? Bill Belichick? Bill Walsh? Bill Parcells?
I'd say Belichick. Hallis was okay. If you look back then, like Lombardi, okay.
Yeah.
I'd say Lombardi, because he had a lot to do with getting the personnel for that team. And it was a lot harder than it is today to trade for anybody. He built it up. I think I really loved George Allen. When he was with us my rookie year, he left the next year to be the head coach of the 49ers.
Yeah.
And he tried to, I used to have lunch with him every Friday my rookie year. And he tried to trade for me to the Rams, but Hallis would never do it. And so then, he won a playoff, got in the playoffs with them. Then he went to Washington. And then and I was about to retire, and he called me. He says, "I want you to come here." And I said, "Well, my knee is, the doctor screwed it up here with the Bears, and so come on in." So I snuck into DC, and now this is how he thought. This was like,
and you can
January.
have a second opinion in that time.
Yeah, I did.
About your knee injury.
The year of 73, I didn't play half the year. You couldn't go see other doctors, but I snuck out and went to John Hopkins. I went to Mayo Clinic. I went to a guy in Atlanta, and they all said the same thing. So when Alan called me, I said, "George, the word is, that I'm through." And he says, "Well, I want you to look one more doctor."
Mm-hmm.
That's Dr. O'Donohue in Oklahoma City. And so he did an operation on Sonny Jurgensen's shoulder that no one else even dreamt of doing, and Sonny got a couple more years. So that's what I want you to do. So I go down there, and he looks at me and he says, "Dick, I'm afraid if you play, there's a chance that you might have to have your leg fused stiff, like with that knee." So I called George Allen and I said, "Look, I think it's over with. Your guy said, same as everybody else, that I can't come back."
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him saying, "Just be careful. Just be careful of the old man," because I still had 3 years left on my contract, and the Bears tried to get out of it, and it took 2 years. And I think that's what prevented me from getting into coaching. Because who's going to take a chance on a guy who's suing his own team? They just, the ending with the Bears wasn't too good for me. I mean, I was very disappointed. I gave everything to play for them, and
absolutely.
And at the very end, it was like,
yeah.
What can you do for me now? Nothing.
Yeah.
So long. So, but
as we can see in the concussion film. You know about concussion film? This great movie.
Which one?
Talks about the NFL situation, about injuries of the players.
Oh, with the CTE and all that?
Yeah. Yeah. Concussion.
Concussions. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that happened. I mean, even with
the situation with Dave Durson and other players, incredible.
Yeah. Well, they never think about that. How all these guys are, because we didn't have the modern medical things, knowledge that they have, or the nutritional values now. I mean, that's what I mean by playing today. I mean, it's, you're a Rolls Royce, man. They treat you like a Rolls Royce. Yeah. With us, it was an old broken down Chevy pickup truck with a flat tire. Mm-hmm. So I know there's a lot of guys, and that's why I had a little heart problem and never knew it. I did this screening, this scan, and boom. Cardiologist says, "You need a bypass." I'm like, "What? I feel fine." Well, you're not fine on the inside. So he did a 5-way bypass, and that was, I don't know, 12, 14 years ago. Now we have a center there in Orange County that we screen, policemen, firemen, returning military people. And over the course of time, we probably saw or screened over 40,000 people and saved, well, I think it's one out of every 6 that gets a screen, you probably have saved that person's life. Mm-hmm. So I'm working with that. It's an initiative called Takes Heart. And we're also working with the NFL alumni and their obesity problem that people are having. For a while, heart disease was because of smoking. And then the smoking tailed off a little bit. And so did the heart problems. But now the heart problems are coming back. And it's all because of obesity. I saw some people in Las Vegas about 3 weeks ago, like, oh my God. And so when I was doing a video for the NFL films for Takes Heart and for the obesity program, I was talking to the woman producer and I'm like, I don't know what the deal was. Well, I said, when I was in Vegas, I never saw so many obese people, not fat. Mm-hmm. I'm talking humongous people. Mm-hmm. And they're wearing the short shorts and everything. I'm like, what? And she says, well, haven't you heard? There's a saying that you ought to be proud of your body and you ought to show your body, even though you weigh 600 pounds. And she says, yes. She says, look into a woman's clothing catalog, and you won't see the pencil thin models. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I start watching, I'm watching TV. I see some of these ads. Everybody's big. Well, anyway, that's leading to heart disease again. So the heart attacks and everything are going back up. So we teamed with the NFL alumni and their obesity program, where we're having divide the country in 4 quarters and get some ex-players who want to, maybe having trouble with obesity, maybe they're having trouble with injuries. Hey, let's get this program. We got a whole list of doctors here that'll keep an eye on you. And, let's start doing something for these old guys who enable these players today to make the money that they're making and made the game, what it is today. They've been left out, long enough. Pension-wise and health-wise. So we're going to try to help them out in that way. We try to get a screening facility in every NFL city, and not only get retired players to do a screening, but regular people. Yeah. Because it takes 5 minutes, and it could save your life.
Rick, finally, what's your opinion about the inclusion and diversity programs in the NFL? These new models of people in diversity and inclusion with gay people, lesbian, gay. What do you think about? And what do you think about these people being involved in roles as players?
Yeah, I don't know how you could, if there's a test to show that you're more of a male than a female. I don't know. I really haven't really thought about that. But I guess it's something to think about because so many people are coming out of the closet, supposedly, just like with this Oakland Raider guy. Yeah. Well, I knew a guy that was gay back in when I was playing. But nobody knew about it. It wasn't brought up or anything. And then all of a sudden, when the guys are done playing, they come out of the closet, so to speak. So it's whatever. I don't bother with that, and I don't think anybody else should make a big deal of it. It's the way it is. If they want to be that way, fine.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, well, all right.
Your predictions about the 55 Super Bowl.
Well, I gotta say, your guy, I haven't looked at their schedule. All I know is that the Bears got a very, very tough schedule, and I sort of doubt that they'll be in it. But I would think, I think Tampa would have another crack at it, but so again will.
I'm pretty sure.
With Kansas City.
Yeah.
If Mahomes is, 100% the whole year.
Phenomenal guy.
They're tough. Yeah.
Phenomenal guy.
Yeah. Makes a lot of a big difference, a quarterback like that. It's just like your guy there in Tampa. But they'll have the bullseye sign on them. Everybody will want to be. But they got the people. They'd probably be right back there. I think it'll probably be a repeat of Tampa and Kansas City.
You like Tampa Bay defense, Dick?
Yeah. We have White. Devin White is a former Butkus winner.
Mm-hmm.
They go after it. They try to hurt people.
Yeah.
They're fast and they're pretty good. And then of course we gotta, now that Aaron Rodgers is back in the fold at Green Bay, you gotta start thinking about them a little bit. I don't know what their schedule would look like if it's close to what the Bears have. It's probably a tough schedule, but I think Tampa, Kansas City might be
can repeat.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Dick, it's been a pleasure for me, an honor for me talking a few minutes with you. I'm your fan number one in Mexico. I'm pretty sure of that.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Enjoy life.
Yeah, my son-in-law works for a businessman there in Mexico City. Yeah.
All my respect for you as a player, as a person also.
Okay, buddy. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Take care, Dick.
Sure.
Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Esta fue una emisión más del programa Estamos en Comunicación con Carlos Muñoz. Carlos Muñoz, un programa con mensaje transmitiendo desde Radio Anáhuac 1670M. Eleva tus sentidos.